Namaste and welcome to Daily News Simplified, the what, why and how of newspaper reading. Today we would be analyzing the Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper of 14th April 2018. Now let us begin. Now we have taken this article from page 10. Now what this article talks about is that the US President Donald Trump has said that the United States can re-enter the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Now with regards to this article, what is important for you to know from the perspective of your upcoming prelims examination is the recently signed Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. So now let us understand about the recently signed Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership or CPTPP. Now the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership has recently been signed as a free trade agreement between the Pacific Rim countries of Japan, Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei, Australia, New Zealand, Chile, Peru, Mexico, and Canada. Now the earlier Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement was originally concluded in 2015 by 12 countries, which were all the 11 countries of the Comprehensive and Progressive TPP plus the United States. And the TPP agreement was signed in February of 2016 by all the 12 parties. However, in January of 2017, after the election of Donald Trump, the United States declared that it would not ratify the TPP agreement, and the United States effectively withdrew from the TPP agreement. And since without the United States, the TPP agreement could not enter into force as it required the ratification by at least 6 countries that together had a GDP of more than 85% of the combined GDP of the 12 parties to the TPP. Now after the US decision to withdraw from the TPP, in November of 2017 in Vietnam, the other 11 countries agreed on the core elements of a new Comprehensive Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. And in January of this year, the 11 countries which are part of the Comprehensive Progressive TPP concluded the agreement. Now this agreement, which had been signed in January of 2018, is awaiting the required ratification to come into force. Now hopefully up till here you have understood that the original Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement was signed in 2016 by 12 Pacific Rim countries. However, after the election of Donald Trump, the United States withdrew from the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, and because of which the TPP could not come into force. And after following the US decision to withdraw from the TPP, the other 11 countries concluded a new Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership in January of 2018. However, this agreement still requires ratification from the 11 members to come into force. Now apart from this, the other information that you are required to know is how is the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership different from the original TPP. Now the new agreement or the Comprehensive Progressive TPP includes the provisions of the earlier Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. However, with the exception of the provision mainly pertaining to intellectual property and investor-state dispute settlement. And these are the two major provisions that have been suspended until the 11 countries decide otherwise. And the other difference between the Comprehensive Progressive Agreement for TPP and the earlier TPP is the absence of the United States. Now with regards to your UPSC syllabus, now the Comprehensive Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership would be placed in current events of international importance in your upcoming prelims examination. And in similar terms, a question has been asked in the prelims of 2016 with regards to the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, which had asked its members and its purpose. Now hopefully up till here you understand the purpose, the members and the basic features of the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. Now apart from this, there's one more agreement that you should be aware of, which is the Continental Free Trade Area, which has also been recently signed, which you should also further understand with regards to your upcoming prelims examination. Now this Continental Free Trade Area has been covered in the March edition of the Focus magazine, and you can refer to that article to further understand this. However, we will not be covering it today, and therefore we move on to the next article. Now we have taken the lead editorial from page 6. Now what this article talks about is of the recent work by a Mumbai-based artist, and the author in this article tries to explain the various art pieces that have been found by the referenced artist. Now this article is straightforward for you to understand, and it delves into the abstract forms that the artist is trying to represent through his art. Now with regards to this article, what we'll do is understand about Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar with regards to your upcoming prelims examination. Now let us understand various points with regards to Babasaheb Ambedkar that are important with regards to your upcoming prelims examination. Now, Babasaheb Ambedkar was born on 14th April 1891 at Mahu in Madhya Pradesh. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar went to the United States at Columbia University for his PhD, and he was sponsored by the Maharaja of Baroda. And at Columbia University, he was awarded the PhD for his thesis, National Dividend of India, a historical and analytical study, which was later published in a book under the title The Evolution of Provincial Finance in British India. But however, his first published article was Castes in India, Their Mechanism, Genesis and Development. Moreover, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar also further completed another thesis from the London School of Economics, which was titled The Problem of the Rupee. He also brought out a Marathi weekly whose title was Mook Nayak, meaning dumb hero. In 1923, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar had set up the Bharistkar Hitkarni Sabha, and afterwards in 1927 he led the Mahad March or the Mahad Satyagrah at the Chaudhar Tank at Kolaba, which is near Bombay, and it is at this point where he had burned the copies of the Manusmriti. After this, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar also launched a temple entry movement at the Kala Ram temple, wherein the location of the Kala Ram temple becomes important to differentiate it with other temple entry movements led by other leaders. Now, another factor that you should know of is about the Communal Award and its subsequent Pune Pact, that Ramsay MacDonald announced the Communal Award as a result in which several communities, including the depressed classes, were given the right to have separate electorate. However, Mahatma Gandhiji was against this Communal Award and went onto a fast unto death to oppose this. And in 1932, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar and Mahatma Gandhiji came to an understanding which came to be known as the Pune Pact. And according to the Pune Pact, the provision of the separate electorate was dispensed with. However, reservation and an agreement on electoral constituencies was agreed upon within the Pune Pact. Now, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar also attended all the 3 roundtable conferences in London, and this fact becomes important that Mahatma Gandhiji only attended 1 roundtable conference, which is the second roundtable conference. Moreover, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar organized the Independent Labour Party and participated in the provincial elections and was elected to the Bombay Legislative Assembly. And afterwards, he founded his second political party called the All India Scheduled Caste Federation. And it was during these days, when he was a member of the Bombay Legislative Assembly, that he stressed for the need of abolition of the Jagirdari system. In 1947, the first Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, invited Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar as a member of the Constituent Assembly from Bengal and later on to join his cabinet as a law minister. The Constituent Assembly of India entrusted the job of drafting the constitution to a committee, and Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar was elected as the chairman of this drafting committee. Now afterwards, in May of 1956, on the occasion of Buddha Jayanti, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar declared in Bombay that he would adopt Buddhism, which he later on did in October of 1956. Now, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's last important works were Buddha and his Dharma and the Buddha or Karl Marx. And moreover, Dr. Ambedkar's undelivered speech was compiled into a book known as The Annihilation of Caste. And lastly, on 6 December 1956, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar attained Mahaparinirvan. Now in Buddhism, Mahaparinirvan means a person who has attained Nirvana after his death. Now all these points given in this section are relevant with regards to your upcoming prelims examination, and the important keywords have also been highlighted. Now a question has previously been asked on Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, which was asked in the prelims of 2012 with regards to the parties that were established by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. And from these points, you are aware of the various organizations, literary work, and important milestones with regards to Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar have been highlighted within this section. And so therefore, we move on to the next article. Now there are 2 articles on page 8 with regards to Ajit Doval meeting the top Chinese diplomat and India and UK in talks over education. Now in the first article, the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval is meeting a top diplomat from China in Shanghai. And this meeting is being held before the summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. And the discussion between both individuals would be regard to the Doklam crisis, the upcoming summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and with regards to India-China relations. Now you have to understand that this news is in transition, and we have to wait for the upcoming Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit. And similarly, with regards to the second article, with India and UK in talks over education, with specifically holding talks to seal an agreement on mutual recognition of educational qualifications. Now, India had signed a similar agreement on mutual recognition of educational qualifications between India and France, and both India and the United Kingdom are in talks in forming such an agreement, wherein the educational degrees from various institutes or organizations from India would be recognized in the United Kingdom, and similarly, various educational qualifications from the United Kingdom would be recognized in India. Apart from this, Prime Minister Narendra Modi would be visiting London next week to participate in a summit of the Commonwealth, and since both these sections on the agreement and the upcoming summit are in transition. So let us wait on how this news moves forward, and therefore we move on to the next article. Now we have taken this article from page 3. Now what this article talks about is the Rajasthan government has introduced a new market intervention scheme. Now let us understand from your economics perspective as to what is a market intervention scheme. Now a market intervention scheme is a price support mechanism which is implemented on the request of the state government for procurement of perishable and horticultural commodities, and it is provided in the event of a fall in prices in the market, and this scheme would be implemented when at least there is a 10% increase in production or a 10% decrease in ruling rates over the previous normal year. Now hopefully up till here you have understood that the market intervention scheme is a price support mechanism that is implemented on the request of the state government, and it is done for procurement of perishable and horticultural commodities. And this market intervention scheme is provided in the fall of prices in market and would be implemented when there is a 10% increase in production or a 10% decrease in ruling rates over the previous normal year. Now the market intervention scheme works in a similar fashion to minimum support price for procurement mechanism of food grains. However, the market intervention scheme is an ad hoc mechanism. Now the objective of MIS is to protect the growers of these horticultural and agricultural commodities from making a distressed sale. And this distressed sale is caused by an increase in production or a decrease in the ruling rate. Now hopefully up till here you have understood that the market intervention scheme works in a similar fashion to the minimum support price for a procurement based mechanism, but the market intervention scheme, unlike the minimum support price, is an ad hoc mechanism. Now the objective of the market intervention scheme is to protect the growers of these horticultural and agricultural commodities from making a distressed sale, which are caused by an increase in production or a decrease in the ruling rates. Now the proposal of market intervention scheme is approved on the request of the state government of the Union Territory, wherein the state or the Union Territory is ready to bear 50% of the losses, and it is 25% in case of northeastern states incurred on its implementation. Now hopefully you have also understood that the proposal for market intervention scheme is approved by the central government after the request from the state or the Union Territory, and from which the state or the Union Territory has to bear 50% of the losses, and which is 25% for the northeastern states. Now hopefully you have understood the market intervention scheme with regards to what it is used for, what are the specific features for the market intervention scheme, and how is it different from the minimum support price. And so now with this, we move on to the next article. Now we have taken both of these articles from page 5. Now what the first article talks about is that the country of Ukraine is keen to be a part of the 2 defense corridors that have been proposed by India. Now what you should remember from this article as to what are the 2 defense corridors. Now the first defense corridor is the Chennai-Bangalore defense corridor. And the Chennai-Bangalore defense production corridor would begin from Tamil Nadu, from what is known as the Tamil Nadu Defense Squad. And this Tamil Nadu Defense Squad would include the city of Chennai, Hosur, Coimbatore, Salem and Tiruchirappalli. And the second defense corridor would be set up in Bundelkhand in Uttar Pradesh. Now hopefully up till here you have understood that the Ukraine is keen to be a part of the 2 defense corridors that have been proposed by India, wherein the 2 defense corridor, the first one is the Chennai-Bangalore corridor, in which the work has begun from Tamil Nadu, in which is called the Tamil Nadu Defense Squad, and includes the city of Chennai, Hosur, Coimbatore, Salem and Tiruchirappalli, while the second defense corridor would be located in Bundelkhand, which is in Uttar Pradesh. Now with regards to the second article, what is required for you to know is about the strategic partnership model. Now the Dhirendra Singh Committee had recommended for the formation of the strategic partnership model, and the strategic partnership model was finalized by the Defence Acquisition Council. Now the Defence Acquisition Council is headed by the Defence Minister of India and is represented by both the bureaucracy and the armed forces, with the Defence Secretary, the head of Defence Research and Development Organization or DRDO, chiefs of the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, among others. Now this strategic partnership model will choose Indian private firms to collaborate with foreign original equipment manufacturers, and this collaboration would be to manufacture defense equipment in India. Now currently there are four segments of defense equipment such as submarines for Navy, main battle tanks for Army, among others. And a selected Indian company and a foreign original equipment manufacturer may jointly bid for a segment and may manufacture these defense equipment in India. Now hopefully up till here you have understood that the strategic partnership model was recommended for formation based on the Dhirendra Singh Committee report, and it was finalized by the Defence Acquisition Council, wherein under the strategic partnership model it would choose Indian private firms to collaborate with foreign original equipment manufacturers, and this collaboration would be to manufacture defense equipment in India. And currently there are four segments of defense equipment that can be manufactured under strategic partnership model, such as submarines for Navy, main battle tanks for Army, among other. Now hopefully up till here you have understood from the perspective of your upcoming prelims examination as to the location of the two defense corridors and the strategic partnership model for manufacturing defense equipment in India. Now previously a question has been asked in your UPSC prelims examination in the year 2016 with regard to India's first national investment manufacturing zone was proposed to be set up in which state. Now in similar form, a question can be asked with regards to the defense production corridors, which might include its sequence or be more specific to the Tamil Nadu Defence Quad, while government schemes such as the strategic partnership model are also occasionally asked within the UPSC prelims examination. And so now with this, we move on to the next article. Now we have taken this article from page 1. Now what this article talks about is with regards to the Office of Profit case, wherein the Election Commission will officially resume the oral hearing with regards to the Office of Profit allegations against 20 MLAs, Delhi Assembly. Now what is important to understand from this article is about the Office of Profit, and this we had covered in a much earlier video. So let us again revise this with the perspective of your upcoming prelims examination. Now the Office of Profit issue has been prepared by Navid sir for the February edition of the Focus magazine. So let us first understand as to what comprises Office of Profit. Now an Office of Profit means a position that brings to the person holding it some financial gain or advantage or benefit or perk apart from the public office which that person currently holds. So for example, if X is an MLA but holds another office under the Government of India for which he gets extra perks or benefit to meet the needs of this extra office, thus holding of another office apart from being an MLA amounts to holding an Office of Profit. Now for a position to be considered an Office of Profit, it has to be under the appointment of the government for which it receives benefit, perks, salary or any other financial gain from the public exchequer. So under the Constitution of India, a person shall be disqualified for being a member of either House of Parliament if he holds any Office of Profit under the Government of India. Now the question is, who decides whether a member of either House of Parliament is holding an Office of Profit? So if a question arises whether a member of Parliament should be disqualified for holding an Office of Profit, it shall be referred for the decision of the President, who shall obtain the opinion of the Election Commission and shall act accordingly to such opinion, and this decision of the President shall be final. And similarly, a member of the Legislative Assembly or the Legislative Council of a state shall be disqualified for holding an Office of Profit as per the decision of the governor of that state, who also would have to abide by the opinion of the Election Commission, and this decision of the governor shall also be final. So if a question is asked as to who decides the disqualification of a member of Parliament for holding an Office of Profit, you should know that it is the President of India who decides whether a member of Parliament shall be disqualified for holding an Office of Profit based upon the opinion of the Election Commission. And similarly, if another question is asked as to who decides the disqualification of a member of Legislative Assembly for holding an Office of Profit, you should know that the decision of the governor based on the opinion of the Election Commission.
Now, apart from this, what else you should know is that the opinion of the Election Commission is mandatory upon the President and the Governor. Now, with regards to your prelims examination syllabus, this explanation of the Office of Prophet would fall under Indian Polity and Governance in the subsection Constitution.
And now with this, we come to an end in the analysis of today's paper. And now we move on to the question for today.